Imagine growing up in a world without electricity, where horse-drawn buggies replace cars, and your community relies on faith, tradition, and centuries-old practices to survive. Now imagine that world being quietly shaken by something invisible, something controversial, and something modern: the debate over vaccines. Today we dive deep into why Amish families in America are facing rising pressure to vaccinate their children, a conflict that's not just medical, but deeply cultural, emotional, and even existential. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover may change the way you think about public health, personal freedom, and the silent struggles within one of America's most private communities. The Amish are more than just a curiosity on the American landscape. They are a people who have resisted modernity with remarkable conviction. Electricity, the internet, even cars, these are not part of their world. But this isn't about rejection, it's about preservation. At the heart of Amish life is the principle of Gelassenheit, a yielding of self to the community and God. For generations, this mindset has shaped every decision, including healthcare, which raises the question: what happens when a decision, like vaccinating children, isn't just about one family, but about the entire community? But in a world so resistant to outside influence, how did vaccines even enter the conversation? It started small. A few public health workers, persistent and patient, quietly entered Amish communities, not with mandates but with conversations. Outbreaks of measles, pertussis, and even COVID-19 changed everything. When children started getting sick, sometimes fatally, many Amish families began to listen. Not because they trusted science, but because they trusted their neighbors who had seen the worst. Imagine being a mother in a tight-knit community, holding your feverish child, knowing that even a short buggy ride to the hospital might be too long. But what happens when saving a child's life feels like betraying your way of life? To understand the resistance, we must understand the values. The Amish aren't anti-science, they are pro-community, pro-faith, and above all, pro-tradition. Vaccination represents more than a medical decision. It symbolizes intrusion. It challenges the Amish belief in divine will, natural healing, and communal decision-making. And when something challenges faith, the resistance isn't just intellectual, it's spiritual. But what happens when some Amish begin to change their minds, and others don't? The decision to vaccinate doesn't just divide families from the outside world, it divides them from each other. Some Amish bishops began to support vaccines after seeing preventable illnesses devastate their people. Others doubled down. For many Amish parents, the pressure isn't from the government, it's from within. A vaccinated child might be looked at differently, a parent might be whispered about, and yet some still choose to vaccinate. Imagine risking your standing in your community for the sake of your child's life. But here's the twist: what if the outside world is pressuring them too? Public health authorities are walking a tightrope. They can't force the Amish to vaccinate, but during outbreaks they have no choice but to intervene. Temporary quarantines, contact tracing, and mobile vaccination clinics began appearing, even in the most remote Amish enclaves. Some welcomed it, many did not. The balance between religious freedom and public safety is now more delicate than ever. And with rising concern about pandemics, bioterrorism, and herd immunity, pressure from federal and state governments is only increasing. But what if the pressure isn't just from health officials? What if technology is playing a secret role? Believe it or not, smartphones do exist in some Amish circles, usually hidden, sometimes shared. And with them comes access to information. CDC websites, Facebook debates, YouTube conspiracy theories. For better or worse, some Amish youth and even parents are learning about vaccines from the same sources as you and me. That's both exciting and dangerous, because misinformation spreads fast, and trust is fragile. When tradition meets TikTok, who wins? And what happens when a small community gets caught in the crossfire of a national debate? To much of the outside world, the Amish refusal to vaccinate looks reckless, even selfish. Media stories paint outbreaks as their fault. But what many don't understand is that the Amish see this as persecution. They're not ignoring science, they're protecting what they believe is sacred. And yet, the public outcry grows louder with every outbreak. There's a mounting urgency, one that's forcing even the most secluded families to reevaluate. So, where does this story go from here? The answer lies with the children. Young Amish people, especially those who go on Rumspringa, are more exposed to modern life than ever before. They taste freedom, question beliefs, and return home with new ideas. Some are quietly choosing to vaccinate themselves. Others are refusing to follow the old ways. It's a slow, often invisible revolution. This is not just a story of pressure, it's a story of evolution. These children may one day reshape the future of an entire people, but time is running out. This isn't the first time the Amish have faced medical crises. In the 1980s, a rubella outbreak spread through several Amish settlements in Pennsylvania, infecting thousands. It was a wake-up call. Some began to see vaccines not as threats, but as shields. Yet after each outbreak subsides, so too does the urgency. Old habits return. Trust in modern medicine once gained can vanish overnight. Imagine burying a child from a disease you later learn was preventable. How would you live with that? But what if the fear of losing identity is greater than the fear of losing life? Vaccination has become more than just a medical procedure. For some Amish, it's a symbol of submission, not to God but to the outside world. Accepting vaccines can feel like opening the door to everything they've chosen to shut out: modernity, government control, and cultural erosion. This isn't about needles, it's about identity. Every syringe feels like a chisel, chipping away at a way of life held sacred. So why do some still choose to get vaccinated even when it costs them everything? Meet the Miller family from Ohio. When their youngest daughter caught pertussis, she nearly died. After days in a hospital ICU, they made a radical choice: vaccinate all their children. The backlash was immediate: rumors, isolation, cold shoulders at Sunday services, and yet they stood by their choice, quietly, steadily. A parent's love isn't always loud, it's in quiet acts of defiance for the sake of a future. But what happens when the community pushes back harder? In Amish culture, shunning isn't a loud affair. It's silence, a turned back, an empty seat at the table. For those who go against communal norms, like vaccinating, it's a price often paid without warning. Some lose their church membership, others lose business, family connections, or even marriage prospects. Think about that. Choosing health and losing everything else. But what if the government decides they can't wait for the community to come around? During measles outbreaks, certain states began enforcing stricter vaccination laws. In rare cases, Amish schools were temporarily closed. Some children were barred from returning unless vaccinated. It sparked outrage, not just among the Amish, but among religious freedom advocates across the country. What's more sacred, public safety or religious autonomy? Could your religious practices be next? When does protection become overreach? And what if the courts aren't on your side? In landmark cases like Wisconsin versus Yoder, the Supreme Court defended Amish rights to reject certain aspects of modern life. But public health isn't so easily boxed in. In emergencies, courts have ruled in favor of intervention, especially when children are at risk. This means the legal ground is shifting, fast, quietly. Rights you thought were untouchable may already be under review. And what if the battleground isn't law, but fear? Misinformation thrives in the dark. Without internet regulation, some Amish communities are hearing only half the story, or worse, false stories. Vaccines cause infertility. Government chips, poison, control. These aren't just fringe beliefs. They're taken seriously because they come from voices the Amish trust. Friends, neighbors, even rogue former members. When fear is the loudest voice in the room, who do you believe? But could that fear be turned into something else, like hope? Not all change is loud. Some of it is whispered across dinner tables, in barn gatherings, at births and funerals. Midwives, local doctors, even bishops, some are beginning to shift. They aren't pushing vaccines, they're listening, sharing stories, telling truths wrapped in compassion, not coercion. These quiet heroes are planting seeds, because real change doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, and those whispers are reaching the next generation. Rumspringa is a rite of passage. It's where Amish youth explore the outside world before deciding to join the church, and increasingly many are using that time to get vaccinated. They return with stronger convictions, or they leave for good. Either way, they are no longer silent participants. They are thinkers, seekers. What if the future of an ancient tradition depends not on the elders, but the rebels? But can both worlds ever truly coexist? The future may not lie in choosing between tradition and medicine, but in building bridges. Some communities are now working with health departments to create vaccine programs that respect Amish values. Home visits, no technology, no pressure, just informed choice. It's a delicate dance, but one that could define the next century of Amish health. For the first time, there's a path that honors both conviction and care. But how long can that path hold under national pressure? Public health officials now look at the Amish as a crucial case study in balancing rights and responsibilities. As national vaccine debates intensify, Amish decisions are being cited in policy debates, courtrooms, even on Capitol Hill. They didn't ask for this spotlight, but now they're at the center of one of the biggest health questions in modern America. The choices of a quiet people could influence the laws of an entire nation. And at the heart of it all is a child. Imagine a mother cradling her newborn in a Lancaster County farmhouse. She's praying for guidance. Her bishop says no, her instincts say yes. The health worker who visited last week gave her a pamphlet. It's hidden in a drawer. This isn't politics to her. It's not science. It's her baby. And she must decide, will her love be expressed through tradition or through a tiny needle? That moment of choice lives in homes across America, maybe even yours. So what would you do? This story isn't just about the Amish, it's about all of us, about how we balance freedom and responsibility, faith and science, past and future. The Amish are facing pressure, yes, but not because they're wrong, because the world is changing around them. And whether we live in a city high-rise or an off-grid farmhouse, we're all being asked to make choices that test our values. So ask yourself, when the moment comes, when safety and identity collide, what will you protect? And perhaps the greatest wisdom lies not in choosing sides, but in choosing compassion. If this story moved you, made you think differently, or stirred something deeper, that's what we aim for here at Frugal Focus. We explore the quiet corners of American life where real stories unfold beyond the headlines, where faith, freedom, and frugality intersect with the choices that shape generations. If you believe that simple living doesn't mean simple thinking, subscribe, share, and stay with us. There's so much more to uncover. Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and stay focused. This is Frugal Focus, where every story counts.